After Luke became vegetative, I took care of him for 3 years without complaint. But once he woke up, he could only remember his first love. After we got the divorce he wanted, he went crazy begging me for forgiveness. Unfortunately, he doesn't know I'm already gone beyond forgiving him. The doctor said Luke's memory loss was temporary, that he'd remember me eventually. I stood at the door of Luke's hospital room. Right there, by his side, Tina, the first love, was peeling an apple for him. It was like the past 3 years, where I stayed loyal and cared for him non-stop, never happened. And there was Tina, the woman who didn't even check on him once when he became a vegetable. The more I watched, the more I felt life was mocking me. I forced down my anger and pushed the door open. When I walked in, their sweet smiles faded fast. "What are you doing here again?" Luke looked at me like I was a stranger. "I told you, I don't know you." I gripped the stainless steel lunchbox. "You just woke up, you can't eat greasy things." He turned away, not wanting to hear me. I reassured myself. "If you don't want corn porridge and soup, tell me what you want, I'll bring it later." Luke turned back toward me, eyes full of annoyance. "Did you not hear me?" "Luke, I'm not blaming you. You just lost your memory, that's why you're like this." I clenched my fists. "You'll remember." Tina spoke up. "I shouldn't have come today, sorry." As Tina got up to leave, Luke grabbed her sleeve tight. "Tina, don't go, stay with me, okay?" With that, I felt like the villain ruining a happy couple. I couldn't help but remind Luke, "I'm your wife." That hit a nerve. Luke clutched Tina's hand tighter, glaring at me. Then, with one hand, he knocked all the food I'd carefully prepared to the floor. "I told you I don't want it. Are you stupid?" "I'm not stupid. I'm just defending my marriage." Tina gently patted Luke's back. No problem, don't be mad, Luke." Then, feigning grace, she told me, "Luke's upset now. How about I stay here?" I gritted my teeth. "You stay? Who are you to him?" Luke glared at me darkly. "I like Tina so much. How could I marry you?" Tina shot me a challenging look. "Don't worry, I'm not leaving, Luke." I remembered what the doctor said. Luke's memory froze at the moment before Tina left the country, stuck on his happiest time with her. I tried to ignore their affection as I cleaned the mess from the floor. Leaving the room, I ran into Luke's close friend. He glanced between me and the couple inside, awkwardly. "Luke lost his memory. Can't blame him, you know." I sighed. "I know." Luke's friend seemed relieved. "I'll bring him out to meet you when he's calmer." I thanked him, even though all he was doing was taking my lawful husband to see me. I arranged to meet Luke at our favorite restaurant, hoping to jog his memory. Before he arrived, I ordered the same dishes we used to love. But he insisted this place was where he and Tina used to come, and said these were their favorite dishes. That's when I realized maybe our love post-marriage was just a facade he put on. We'd met in college, envied by others. I'd wait for him outside his dorm countless times. We'd go to school debates together, Christmas carnivals, and ring in New Year hand in hand, promising, "I love you for another year." At the nearby dog rescue, we'd volunteered together, even adopting a stray we named Popcorn. Sadly, Popcorn passed shortly after our wedding. Luke mourned for 3 long months before bouncing back. After graduation, I started a business. It was tough at first, but Luke encouraged me always, making me believe in myself. After surviving those early days and earning my first paycheck, I even bought a ring and proposed to Luke. Yes, I proposed to him, not the other way around. I believed we'd live happily ever after. For years into our marriage, just when everything seemed perfect and we talked about having a baby, Luke got into a car accident. He crashed on his way to the airport, rear-ending a truck. I have no idea why he was in such a hurry. The car was completely overturned. I still don't know how I managed to sign the surgery consent with my body falling apart. Luke's surgery took 2 days and nights. I stayed up the whole time. The doctor said he survived by luck, but waking up was uncertain. I thought to myself, even if he never wakes, I'd take care of him. And so I did, for 3 years. In those years, not only did I care for him, but I also ran the company. I got a few strands of gray hair from juggling both. Luke's parents once approached me asking if I wanted a divorce, knowing a bedridden life was a burden. I appreciated their understanding but refused. I reminded them of our vows to care for each other, no matter what. His mom hugged me, patting my shoulder, "Such a good child. Sorry you have to go through this." Back then, I didn't feel sorry for myself. It was my choice to stay, to look after him, no matter how difficult. Maybe it was destiny, or maybe I really did care for him well. Luke suddenly regained consciousness one afternoon. When the doctor called, I was in the middle of a full-body scan. I rushed to the hospital as soon as the CT scan ended, but when I got there, a woman was already sitting by Luke's bed. I recognized her from Luke's high school graduation photos. Her name was Tina. I tried to play it cool and greeted Tina, thinking I was being cordial. But Luke held her hand and asked, "Tina, is she a friend of yours?" I couldn't believe it. I turned to Luke and saw him looking at me like I was a stranger. Then, with the same hands I cared for each day, he clung to Tina's sleeve. My head spun. One thought kept echoing: reality is crazier than fiction because it ignores logic. Luke's parents arrived at the hospital after hearing the news. "Is this how we raised you?" His dad slammed his cane on the ground, furious. "Biting the hand that feeds you? Betraying trust?" Luke sat stubbornly on the hospital bed, holding Tina's hand. "But I love Tina." "Love?" His mom pointed at Tina. "What love? She left you and went abroad, while Wendy took care of you for 3 whole years. So what? Love isn't a timeline," Luke retorted. "You can't talk me out of it unless you want to see me willing to die as soon as I wake up." His mom looked torn. "Tina came back for me," Luke insisted. "I know I was wrong back then," Tina echoed. "If I had known about the accident, I'd have come back sooner." His mom scolded. "You were the one who decided to marry Wendy. She's done nothing wrong. Now you wake up and want a divorce? What about the family's reputation?" "I'll take care of Luke, I promise," Tina pledged. "I can transfer my assets to his name to show my sincerity." Parents can hardly resist their children. Under Luke and Tina's urging, their stance started shifting in their favor. Despite my low expectations, it still hurt. When I walked in, they avoided eye contact. "Sigh, let them find their happiness," they murmured. I scoffed. Tina not hearing anything about the accident? Impossible. I refused to voice these doubts, hoping Luke would consider family and responsibility, but I lost. Luke's deep thoughts lapsed him back into a coma. The doctor called me to inform me in the middle of the night. I rushed over, changed Luke's and wiped his face. Though disoriented, he kept calling for Tina, not me. With each call, my love dwindled until daybreak. By then, I had grown numb to her name. Later, I saw Luke's buddy on the phone. "Sure, we'll clear out soon so you can have your alone time with Tina." Alone time? How ironic. I followed him to the ward. The once sterile room was now decorated with balloons and flowers. A tiered cake with figures of Tina and Luke stood together. Luke had donned a dapper suit and stood next to Tina. "Tina, happy birthday. You're making waves in design now. Hope you like the gift," Luke said, presenting sapphire cufflinks. His friend chimed in, "A perfect fit. Luke ordered these from France just for you." Luke's face was lit with a smile I hadn't seen in ages. For 4 years, we lived like an old married couple. I suggested trips to escape routine, but Luke always had work. Even for anniversaries, I ordered cakes thinking it's extravagant, but maybe he just saved his romance for someone else. We once pledged to love and care for each other in sickness and in health till death do us part. I held up my end for 3 years while he was in a coma. And now, Luke's breaking ours. Friends joked about Luke's journey with Tina like it was a romantic story. I stood at the door and laughed. The room went silent as they noticed me. I dryly licked my lips. "Marrying without divorce? That's bigamy, you know." Luke's friend tried to pacify. "Oh no. It's just a joke. Luke's memory isn't all there." A joke? I clenched my fists. Combining precious gifts, planning to propose? Luke, annoyed at my interruption, snapped, "So what if I planned it? Why are you being sour?" "Why am I sour?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Luke, we're married, remember? Half of those cufflinks you're giving away are technically mine." That ticked Luke off. He stormed over to me, only to trip on the edge of the bed. Instinctively, I reached for him and ended up hitting the floor myself. I scraped my arm pretty bad. Feeling a bit guilty, Luke got some antiseptic from a nurse and applied it for me. For a second, I wondered if the old Luke was back. But then he shattered that hope with his next question. "Can we get a divorce?" Luke asked. My anger, which had just subsided, flared up again. "In your dreams," I snapped. According to his doctor, Luke might regain his memory tomorrow, or he might never remember at all. Right now, he only has memories before he turned 18. He doesn't remember how we met, or fell in love. Those memories, which include me, are completely gone. Nowadays, he's just Luke who is crazy about Tina. I choked back my tears and asked the doctor, "Is there really no hope he'll remember?" The doctor had watched me tirelessly take care of Luke for 3 years. He was silent for a long time before saying, "Miss Wendy, it will get better." In my heart, I had to believe that too, that it would get better. I went home and cooked some of Luke's favorite dishes. But when I got to the hospital, Tina had already brought him gourmet food from a fancy restaurant. Luke smiled warmly, even with a hint of that special closeness you feel when you're in love. I'll eat it only if you coax me. We once shared that kind of intimacy too. At first, Luke was polite but distant, always claiming his independence. But I loved him then, wanting to pamper him to a carefree life. Over 4 years, we grew closer. But Tina, she didn't have to do anything. Just standing there, Luke knew how to love her. Even if he remembers again, what's the use? Isn't it obvious who he loves more? But I can't just step back. If I can't defend our love, I must at least stand up for our family. Feeling like Don Quixote with his lost knightly spirit, I walked into the hospital room. Luke and Tina looked at me like I was some kind of virus. Luke, I brought your favorite food. I tried to keep my voice steady, though my eyes drifted to the food Tina brought. It had ginger strings that Luke once said he didn't like. But if it's from Tina, he'll eat it. Luke glanced at the dishes I made, his expression puzzled. Sorry, I might have had some back then, but I actually love the food. If he didn't want it, I didn't force it. I sat at his bedside and wiped his hands with a napkin. Are you feeling better today? Luke nodded obediently, his head jerking up as he turned to Tina, insisting, I don't like her. Then tugged on my sleeve, tell Tina that there's nothing between us. A wave of anger surged in me. I slammed our marriage license onto the bedside table. Luke, you might have lost your memory, but I'm not your punching bag. It was the first time I had lost my temper with him since he woke up. Luke was dumbfounded, not even noticing Tina slipping out of the room. That's not what I meant, Luke mumbled, sounding like I had wronged him. Didn't you ask for a divorce? I bit my lip, clenched my fists, and with teary eyes, looked at Luke. If you want it, I'll agree. Luke seemed taken aback that I'd agree, his face bewildered. What's your condition? Give me a month. Luke was confused as to why I would agree to divorce and still ask for a month's time. I chuckled wryly. Think of it as my last attempt to win you back. We were such a loving couple. I'd bring him food he used to love. Even though he claimed not to need it, he'd finish every last bite. I laid out our old photos. This one's from before we got married. You used to say you hated fishtail tuxedos, but you ended up loving it. I pointed to one picture. Then another, this one's from camping. You were in a bad mood, and we listened to the rain all night. And here, I said, you were stressed out, so we went on a roller coaster. You held my hand the whole time because you were scared. Luke turned his head away and softly explained, we might have been really in love, but I can't remember anything now. I realized I needed to accept that he might not love me anymore. Even when I caught a whiff of another woman's perfume on his clothes, I stayed silent. I took Luke around our old college. Thanks to our past, a few underclassmen recognized us, saying we were the sweetest couple there. After the walk, Luke was hesitant to ask me something but didn't. I knew he still couldn't let go of Tina. On the last night of the month, I took Luke to see the sunrise at Victoria Peak. I thought he'd be impatient, but he was surprisingly calm. The firelight glowed on my cheeks, and I heard Luke ask, how did we meet? So, among the mountain winds, I told him the story of how we met, debating fiercely at a college debate, then gradually admiring each other. We did seem sweet, Luke said with a hint of regret in his voice. Yeah, I always thought so, I replied softly. My voice felt like burned out charcoal, just a faint glow with a bit of lingering warmth. Out of nowhere, Luke turned to me and said, I'm sorry. Mr. Luke, why do you want to be with Tina? I asked. Luke stayed silent for a while. I turned my head and saw him staring at me, asking, you called me Mr. Luke. I chuckled. Since we're getting a divorce, might as well set some boundaries early. He seemed uncomfortable with the distance, a bit eager to please. He said he couldn't remember anything, apologized, hoping I wouldn't hold it against him. If he really didn't remember a thing, maybe I'd forgive him, but I knew he hadn't lost his memory. I found out last month that Luke didn't lose his memory. I had just received the diagnosis and CT scans, stage 4 lung cancer. I asked if there was a new drug I could take. The doctor said it wouldn't buy me much time. I asked if a lung transplant was possible. Doctor said it wouldn't help. I asked how much longer I had. The doctor said, best case 6 months, worst case 2 to 3 months. I wondered, if I was gone, would Luke feel lonely in this world? I didn't tell Luke in advance. I stood outside his hospital room, hesitating whether to tell him the bad news. While hesitating, I heard his conversation with his brother. They probably thought no one was around, so they spoke freely. Wendy should believe it, his brother's words piqued my interest. Then I heard Luke's gentle voice, hoping I'd agree to the divorce soon. I bitterly smiled outside the door, thinking, even if I didn't agree, I wouldn't live much longer. I even wondered if telling Luke about my cancer would make him sad. Or maybe he'd be happy. After all, he could then be with Tina without any obstacles. Actually, Wendy's taken good care of you these past few years, his brother sighed. Are you sure? It's because she took care of me these past 3 years that I pretended to have amnesia, Luke said. Otherwise, asking for a divorce would make me seem ungrateful. His words flowed smoothly, but outside the door, I felt like my heart dropped into an icy pit. What if she clings to you? His brother asked. She seems like the type who'd rather put up with you being with Tina than divorce. I let out a cold laugh internally. So in his brother's eyes, my devotion was seen as nothing more than being a lapdog. In that moment, my feelings for Luke turned sour and ridiculous. I heard his brother say, Tina finally got divorced this time. Don't mess things up with Wendy. I've seen you and Tina break up and get together since childhood, and it's almost the end now. Only then did I realize Tina wasn't just his first love, but also his long-standing love. Luke spent 15 years with Tina before he met me. Outside, I heard Luke's nostalgia for the past. His sentimental tone gradually eroded the love I once had for him. I decided to cut things off completely with Luke, but I gave so much. I didn't want to die alone. I wanted Luke to regret it. I didn't care if he loved me. I hoped my death would haunt him, make it hard for him and Tina to find peace. So, I asked for a month. During this month, I didn't always cater to him. Sometimes I went along with him, other times I'd look at him with red eyes, insisting I wasn't a pushover. Compared to the quiet love from the past, now I was just numbly acting out affection. I took romantic gestures to the extreme, giving love substance. Sure enough, Luke began to soften. He'd look at me more often, hesitant to speak. Sometimes, I'd catch a glimpse of him wavering. I thought I'd feel reluctant, but I found letting go surprisingly easy, almost as if the feelings never existed. When the month ended, I arranged to meet Luke at the Civil Affairs Bureau the next morning. I handed him the breakfast I bought for him. He hesitated before taking it. Wendy, Luke, you're not about to tell me you don't want a divorce, right? I interrupted. He paused, a guilty look in his eyes. No. Guess you really do love her. I sighed. He looked a bit remorseful. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything more. He'd already hurt me enough. Luke seemed downcast by my silence. Once we had our divorce certificates and stepped out of the bureau, I asked, Luke, do you know what my job was when you were in a coma for 3 years? What? Luke froze. When you're bedridden as a comatose patient, complications are likely, I explained. So I had to turn you and massage you every hour, constantly monitoring and clearing your airway. Luke appeared surprised, having clearly never considered who took care of him when he was ill. Wendy. Luke's eyes began to well up with tears. Work kept me busy, but I never stopped caring for you. Liquid meals 8 to 10 times daily, I recalled. Honestly, I didn't expect you to wake up after 3 years. I thought I'd take care of you for a lifetime. Suddenly, Luke said, Wendy, perhaps we can still be friends? Be his second choice? I looked down and said, you just don't get it, Luke. You don't understand how someone like me loves. How? Luke asked, following my words. Swallow nails, eat a weight. I whispered, that's how someone like me loves. After saying, I wish you and Tina a long, happy life together, I turned and walked away. After the divorce, I got an email from the private investigator. It was about the truth behind Luke's car accident years ago. That day, after work, he heard Tina was passing through the airport and was in a rush to meet her. Despite the heavy rain, he floored it to the airport, and just the day before, he'd ordered a bunch of custom sapphire cufflinks. I scrolled to the end of the email. Sure enough, those cufflinks were the ones he later gave to Tina. Turns out, he'd given up on me long before the accident. For a moment, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It made my 3 years of taking care of him seem ridiculous. I thought it would only be after I died that he'd feel guilty. Then a familiar number lit up my phone with a message. Wendy, can we meet up? I ignored Luke's message. I just wanted to spend my last moments in peace. The next day, another message appeared. Wendy, I miss you. But I didn't miss him one bit. From the private investigator, I learned Tina didn't return to chase Luke. She had started a business abroad and was deep in debt. She couldn't fool other guys, but Luke had high hopes for her. What she planned to pin on Luke's family assets was not only non-existent but also in the negative. Luke, for some reason, didn't marry her but just planned to get engaged first. She was in a hurry to cash out from Luke's family, and failing to marry him, she scammed a large sum from them. She bought Bitcoin, but unfortunately bought in at a high point, losing millions within a week. Luke's family was dreaming Tina would help them leap to a higher status, unaware they're on the brink of a financial abyss. I wondered, wasn't Tina abroad studying jewelry design? That hot industry now, right? I heard she was quite famous before. The private investigator told me she was indeed famous, but not for designing, rather for plagiarism, which got her sued by the original creator. Due to her big mistakes, all the investors became her creditors. She had to scrape together the cost of the plane ticket back here. Soon another text came in from a different number. Wendy, I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? I blocked that number right away. That night, Luke texted again from a new number. Wendy, now I know, it's always been you I loved. I scoffed silently. It felt absurd. Most people only realize what they've lost after it's gone, but never cherish it when in hand. Luke refused to marry Tina immediately, not even he knew why. Under pressure from parents and Tina, he suggested engagement first. Whenever he was home, memories of Wendy would flood back. Like how she used to cook his favorite meals on the marble dining table daily, or the surprises she planned for his birthdays. The Lego castle she got him to piece together when he was feeling down. Whenever he was stressed from work, Wendy would cut fruit for him, feed him, and talk about how to improve things. Luke used to find these daily routines boring. But with Wendy gone, he saw sweetness in every corner of the house. He remembered the countless mornings waking up to breakfast she made. He kept telling himself, I've made my decision to marry Tina. I shouldn't be thinking about Wendy. Yet, he couldn't control his thoughts. He instinctively compared how the two treated him. He realized that while Tina said she loved him, she didn't know the simplest things, like how he disliked ginger or preferred 3 pumps of sugar in tea. He hoped Tina would provide the comfort she used to in high school, but she was often unavailable, busy with who knows what. He opened Instagram and typed, Wendy, can we meet up? He hesitated but accidentally sent the message when unlocking his phone. As soon as it was sent, Luke regretted it. He saw it as a sign of his own remorse. What if Wendy wanted to meet and thought he wanted to get back together? To his surprise, Wendy didn't reply. His message vanished like a stone sinking into the sea. Although he sent it in the middle of the night, Luke knew Wendy wouldn't ignore messages. She once promised that no matter how late it was, he could always reach her. A thought crept into his mind. What if Wendy had someone else now? He couldn't resist and sent another probing message. Wendy, I miss you. Luke thought if they did meet, it wouldn't be so bad. After all, he and Tina weren't married yet. Wendy still didn't reply. Luke sat on the balcony, and by dawn, it hit him. Wendy might have truly let go of him. From now on, they'd be strangers. For some reason, the thought filled him with panic. His feet felt like they were standing on nothing. Luke realized he didn't love Tina anymore at their engagement party. When Tina pushed the door open, the light behind her made Luke momentarily see Wendy. His heart raced, wanting to run over and hug her, to tell her how much he missed her. As Tina got closer, the illusion faded, and he felt a wave of disappointment. Oh, it's you. Tina smiled. Who else did you think it would be? Luke bit his lip, staying silent. Invitations had already been sent out, and everyone knew he divorced Wendy for Tina. He felt stuck. But he couldn't help thinking if it had been Wendy, she'd have approached him gently, offered some treats she prepared, and made sure he wasn't hungry. Because that's how things were when they were married. Tina stood behind him and said, Isn't $5 million enough to show you off? Luke didn't get why Tina kept going on about it. Didn't my family give you a $5 million dowry too? Turns out, the Tina he thought he knew was just as materialistic as anyone else. Luke couldn't help but send another message to Wendy. Wendy, I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? He thought maybe, just maybe, Wendy would be open to starting over. But after waiting a whole day, through the end of the engagement party, Wendy never replied. He declined Tina's request to move in together, saying they should wait until after the wedding. Back home, he let go of his pride, trying to call Wendy several times. But she never picked up, and even blocked his number. Luke guessed Wendy might still be mad at him. After all, he was the one who pushed for the divorce. Then he went to get a new phone card at the store, and sent Wendy a message. Wendy, I've realized I always loved you. Sending that message made Luke feel tingles all over, like he was making a risky bet. But Wendy's reply never came. He continued sending messages to Wendy, recounting their history together. The more he wrote, the more he was shocked at how happy they once were. One morning, he got a call from a familiar number. At first, he thought Wendy had forgiven him. But the voice on the other end told him the phone's owner had passed away. A wave of panic hit Luke, and he passed out. When he came to, he could smell disinfectant. Wendy, where's Wendy? He shouted upon waking. His friend's voice answered, How can you think about Wendy now? Tina scammed you for your dowry, conned your parents, and lost it all in some coin investment before she ran off. Dowry? Luke didn't get it. Didn't she give me a dowry? Those were fake bills. In that moment, Luke instinctively wanted to ask Wendy what to do. But then he remembered, Wendy was no longer there. His friend added, Maybe you should ask Wendy for help. She wouldn't leave you stranded, right? Luke felt a sharp pain in his chest and started crying. Wendy passed away. What? Luke shook his head, unable to speak. Wendy had wanted a divorce so she wouldn't be a burden. "Is this Mr. Luke?" a doctor asked at the room's door. Luke nodded. The doctor pushed his glasses up. "I was your primary doctor back in the day. We found this while tidying up. I thought you should have it." Luke received a thick care log. Inside were Wendy's notes from the past 3 years, detailing even the slightest changes in his health. The doctor smiled. "I've never seen such a dedicated wife." Luke gripped the log tightly. He felt stiff, as if his soul left with Wendy. He tormented himself by replaying their last month together over and over. Every word Wendy said became a needle in his heart. Why didn't he realize sooner that he loved Wendy? Why didn't he see she was sick? They shared so many sweet moments. Why did he ruin it by choosing Tina? The regret consumed him. Luke didn't live much longer. He jumped from the 24th floor. In a note, he wrote he was going to apologize to Wendy. Years later, Tina was caught and sentenced to over 10 years for fraud. Wendy's company was managed by professionals, with profits going to charity. Several schools were even named after her. She was posthumously named one of the nation's top influential figures. Everyone else was forgotten.